Here's Peter Doocy of Fox asking Trump if he would pardon Diddy, SOT 17.
You hosted The Apprentice. You mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Okay. So that was before he was found guilty on 2 charges, but not of the most serious ones, because he was found guilty in June, and that was May 30th. But Deadline is reporting, and this is a piece by Dominic Patton, who is their legal reporter. And I'm just going to take a guess here that he's well-sourced in Diddy world. He's reporting in a piece dated yesterday, Trump now, quote, this is in quotes, seriously considering pardon for Sean Combs ahead of sentencing. White House officially says nothing. So, and in this piece, when you want to figure out who their sources are, you always look at who do they say so-and-so denied comment? Because that's usually the source. And he says in this piece, the defense team led by Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos had no comment on any pardon talk. So that's my guess, that there is talk, that Diddy's lawyers have brought it to the White House, and that they're the ones who gave Deadline the quote, Trump is seriously considering a pardon for Sean Combs. I don't know whether Trump actually is, but I'm here to urge him not to even consider it, and much less to do it. It would be an absolute disaster. It would be a miscarriage of justice. He doesn't deserve it. Okay, first of all, just to put it in terms Trump can understand, Diddy can't stand you, Mr. President. He was once nice to you, he's turned on you, and he doesn't deserve a favor from you, who he worked actively to stop in 2020. Here's a clip from Charlemagne on his show going over some of that. Watch.
White men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking is real dangerous. When you look at it, we don't have no choice. You know what I'm saying? You can say what you want about Biden. I can't say I love the pick either, but hey, we got to get him in office, and then we got to hold him accountable.
Okay, so that was Diddy giving Charlemagne an interview, making clear how anti-Trump he was. And on top of that, and more importantly, he is a serial woman abuser, the likes of which we haven't seen in modern America, at least not on the public stage in this way. He is a repeated serial abuser. He beat those women to a pulp and didn't even deny it. He didn't deny it. They admitted expressly domestic abuse over and over and over again, something the judge used against them when they pled for bail, when they said, please let him stay out on bail pending sentencing. So he doesn't deserve any sort of a pardon. He got away with all of that. He's only being sentenced when he gets sentenced on these minor crimes of basically engaging in prostitution and transporting people for the purpose of it. So he got away with the most serious crimes. And so 2 things. Number 1, what's Trump in trouble over when it comes to Epstein? He's in trouble because he is making it look like, to the MAGA base, he's part of the elite cabal that covers for other members of the elite cabal. And they don't like that. They elected Trump because he promised not to be one of them, but to like bust up them, those groups, and work with the people against them. So this would not help, not at all. And there are a lot of people like Viva Frei, who comes on the show as a legal commentator a lot, who already thinks the whole Diddy trial was just a show trial so that, he could be found guilty on a couple of minor things. But the real meat of the Diddy case, which is how many other people were being provided access to young women and others and drugs at these parties of note, like famous celebrities, and somehow that's been kept up. So there's already people thinking that there's a cover up here. Trump pardoning Diddy will create another Epstein for him. It would be a nightmare. And last, and certainly not least, the GOP is already struggling with female voters, and they're not all lefties. There are young conservative women who aren't in love with Trump or MAGA. There are. And this will not help. It's very clear. We all saw the videotape of him beating the hell out of Cassandra Ventura. Yeah. But there was so much more testimony about the other women he repeatedly beat, all the way up to when he was arrested. He doesn't deserve any of Trump's mercy. Your thoughts on it, Walter?
I find him personally loathsome. And the idea that he would be walking free with this pass from the President of the United States is abhorrent to me. You're absolutely right, though. It looks like Trump is in some la-la land of special rules for rich and famous people if he does this. And it could not be a worse message from a supposedly populist president who cares about Main Street, where when you beat someone on camera, you end up in jail getting kicked around by the other guys. Number two, there is reason to believe that both Epstein and Diddy may have something in common, which is that someone was protecting them all along, that in some fashion they were connected to intelligence, to law enforcement, that they had cover within elite circles. This would show us that perhaps that's very true and that they continue to have it. And we can't, as a society, go forward believing that there are two standards of law for celebrities and regular people. It's one thing to know that, the rich have all these other advantages. But we're in a country right now where, on the left at least, there is a lot of bubbling anger over oligarchy and all these other things. And it may be sort of whipped up or it may not be. It may be genuine or it may be a political tactic. But you are playing into their hands. And you're just playing into the hands of the devil, as far as I'm concerned, if you let these people walk free. The least among us, the most powerless, all these kids who go to Hollywood and want to make it and are wide-eyed and maybe not, as bright as they could be or as well educated, fall into the clutches of these people. And I say this as someone who's lived in Hollywood, who's worked in the movie industry, and these guys are predators, and there's 100 like him, maybe not as prolific, not as rich, maybe not as, connected. And we've got to put a stop to this business.
That's right. And he got away with it. He wasn't even found guilty on the worst charges against him, the sex trafficking, the RICO, which brought up in a sort of backdoor way all the stuff he'd been doing to women serially for the past 20 years. He got away with it. He was only found guilty on these two minor charges. Let him at least serve the time on those. And in both cases, in Epstein, you had a man who was a friend of Trump's for some period of time, who went on to become one of, if not the most prolific sex trafficker of all time, who got away with it too. He got a sweetheart deal in 2008. And then when he finally got arrested in 2019, he, quote, killed himself or was allowed to kill himself or was murdered, but he did not have to answer in a courtroom ever in any meaningful way to his victims and what he did to those young women. And in a way, it would be the same thing. If you pardon Diddy on the two minor crimes he did get convicted of, it's the same thing. It's telling all these young, vulnerable women, they don't count, they don't matter, that even the top Republican president will cover up any wrongdoing when it comes to that type of a victim, that I don't really see you as victims. And in fact, I'm going to bend over backwards to help this guy who's a serial abuser of women. It just cannot happen. Again, I have faith in Trump. This could be Dominic Patton being spun by Diddy's lawyers who say Trump is seriously considering a pardon. But I got to believe Trump's smarter than this.
I get a strong feeling that this defense team is doing what a defense team does and floating something that, in the hopes of making it a reality, in the hopes of forcing someone's hand, or I don't know. But it would really upset me to think that on the basis of what we know, there's a pardon being considered for this loathsome guy who really got off easy as it was, and whose victims, most of whose victims we don't know, are sitting at home quietly with their lives wrecked because they didn't want to go along or they did go along. And we can't make an example of this type, then we can't make an example of any type.
Yeah, he already got a slap on the wrist. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they are moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. And Birch was an advertiser on this show 12 months ago. If you had purchased then, you'd be 40% richer today. Now's the time. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by burying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold so easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold is going to send you a free info kit on gold. Look into it, see if it's right for you. There's no obligation, just useful information to help you make a decision. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.